Okay, everyone, I think we are live. Oh, not quite. Setting it up. There we go. All right, I think we are live. So here we go. Got it. Happy day before Thanksgiving for those of you in the US celebrating. I know some of you are in Canada and you celebrated in October. So hopefully this week is still, this week is still really relevant for you when you think about being thankful and things. Yesterday, I talked a little bit about how to think about your Thanksgiving meal and using the tools that we've been working on, thinking about how you'd like to feel, thinking about what things feel worth it to you. So not just piling on your plate because it's there. Do you actually really like it? How much of it do you want to eat that will still leave you feeling good and empowered and feeling positive? So we started to think. We talked about the concept, a little bit of mental rehearsal. I didn't go into a ton of detail, but just this idea of rehearsing what you'd like to happen on the day so that your brain has an easier time recollecting what you'd like to do when you're in the moment. But today I'd like to talk a little bit about boundaries. A lot of people have been talking about boundaries this week. I'm not really sure why. And actually, I'm not even sure if boundaries is the way that I'd like to describe it. Scratch the word boundaries. What I want to talk about is families and triggers, and the fact that part of what comes up over the holiday season is that we spend so much time socializing. And oftentimes we're socializing with family, and family brings with it some triggers, good or bad or otherwise. Family brings history, family brings memorized emotions and patterns of family systems and familial history and patterns of feelings and patterns of behavior. And whether or not we are consciously aware of them or not, it is triggering the 95% of our unconscious habitual patterns. And similar to those of us who learned how to drive a car, you don't need to be actively thinking about what you're doing while you're driving a car because it has been so ingrained in your subconscious that it knows what to do. When you get in the car, it knows to, turn things on and put it in park and press the gas pedal and press the brake pedal. You're not thinking about any of those things while you're driving, right? Your brain unconsciously knows how to do it on its own. Similar things happen when you are around your family or anywhere with really ingrained history. You don't need to think about necessarily how you feel. Your body unconsciously reacts to what it knows and what it's been programmed with. And oftentimes for the holidays, this comes with conscious or unconscious triggers and stressors. And that can come up pretty strongly for people. And like I said, conscious or unconscious, you may not even be aware that you are triggered, but you have a discomfort in your body or a feeling, or if you're connected with energy and vibration, like I talk a lot about, you'll notice when you turn upstream, and you'll notice when you have an upstream vibratory reaction to something in your family system or in the social system that you're in. So what's my point in this? What I want to, you may already be aware of this, but so many of our food choices are made unconsciously, so outside of our conscious awareness. And it's up to us to sort of bring those choices to our consciousness if we're going to be able to work with them. And so many of the patterns of how we eat, especially over the holidays, are ingrained with history and patterns of how we ate growing up, or what was good, or how much was good, or who was mom fighting with on Thanksgiving Day. And it has all this mix of memory and emotion. And so a lot of what we do over the holidays is directly, consciously or unconsciously directed or connected to our past. So tomorrow, if you are celebrating Thanksgiving, and if you're not, then think about this for the holiday time, anytime you are with your family over the holidays. Tomorrow, I want you to start to try and bring the unconscious into the conscious. In other words, see if you can make the connection between how you're doing in your social environment and what you are compelled to eat. I don't want you to do anything with it yet. I don't want you to, I'm allowed to have this, I'm not allowed to have this. Remember, we talked a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, about full permission to eat. We want to give ourselves full permission to eat, because when that permission to eat is present, it opens up the information that we need to understand what our patterns are. If we are stifling that information by rules and regulations, and I can't have, and only this much, and how many calories and how many macros, that stifles all of the information that's internal, that will tell us, that will give us a lot of information about what's worth it, how much, when we're eating an emotional reaction to something, when we're triggered, when we're upstream, when we're downstream, et cetera, et cetera. If you don't know what upstream and downstream is, it's a concept that I go really heavily into in the shift. But, just for review, upstream doesn't feel good, downstream does. That's kind of an oversimplification of it. So tomorrow, if you're with your family, I just want you to try to become the observer, to step back and see what it feels like to be there in your body, in your environment. How am I doing? Do I feel triggered? Do I feel stressed? Do I feel hidden? Do I feel seen? Do I want to hide? What is happening for me when I am with my family? And the way that I'm sort of describing it now can make it sound like you might have negative feelings, but this works in the positive as well. In other words, are you more inclined to follow the positive emotion with food, right? Oh, mom's here and we eat pie together and that's what we do, right? So there's also this positive emotional connection with food. And all I'm asking you to do tomorrow is just to become aware of it. Become aware of the family systems and the processes and the good feeling emotions and the perhaps negative feeling emotions that are connected with your food choices. I don't want you to restrict anything. I don't want you to make rules for yourself. I just want you to start to notice and become aware of them. You're going to couple that with the clarity of how you want to feel tomorrow. How do you want to feel going home? How do you want to feel leaving or going to bed or whatever? How do you want to feel leaving the Thanksgiving environment tomorrow? Do you want to feel full, stuffed? Do you want to feel empowered, confident? Do you want to feel calm, lighter, not physically, but emotionally? How do you want to feel leaving tomorrow? And then back into that feeling with the decisions you're going to make. Will this get me closer to feeling like that or further away? And that's how you're going to make your decisions. Remember, tomorrow, this is also really important. At any point in time, you can change the trajectory of where you are going. This is called chaining. At any point in time, you could say, wow, didn't really mean to, but completely zoned out with the meat and cheese plate and had more than I intended to. At any point in time, you could say, not really loving how that made me feel. How would I like to spend the rest of the day? Even if it's all the way through to dessert and you say, whew, that didn't serve me all day today. I think I'm going to have one bite of the dessert and say no. Whatever it is, at any point in time throughout the day, you can say, I don't like how this is making me feel. I'm going to choose something different. The only time you have failed is when you give up on yourself and say, forget it. I already screwed up. I ate too much cheese. I'm going to eat whatever I want. At any point in time, you can make a different decision in favor of how you would like to feel. Okay. This is entirely up to you. It's your choice. You have to take radical responsibility for your decisions. And the worst thing that you can do for yourself is to say, I've blown it, forget it, I'm going to eat whatever I want. Keep staying connected and asking yourself if what you're doing is making you feel good or if what you're doing is making you feel bad without any rules, right? Okay, I'm going to check and see if there's any comments. Awesome. Hey, Lauren. So I'm truly going into the holidays feeling, yay. Lauren says this is the first time I'm truly going into the holidays feeling free with the food around me. I will be in control. I love that. Lauren has been doing such amazing work and following all of the sort of prompts and guidelines and questions and things for a while now. and you're feeling free around food. And I'm so, so excited for you. That is absolutely possible. You can feel freedom around food this holiday season just by doing things differently, thinking about it differently, asking yourself different questions, approaching it differently, right? Like none of this, as you know, none of this is dieting or restricting or don't eat this and only eat that. And you can only have this much and how many calories and how many macros, none of that stuff. Completely different relationship around food. I love this. Jennifer says, I like the idea of awareness during this Thanksgiving. Yep. Okay. So yes, we're staying aware, we're staying connected. And please, 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 there is no failure in this. This is a process of practice and reminding yourself how you'd like to feel. Remember, I started this conversation with, you have all of these unconscious processes that just happen on their own. Until we retrain the brain to do it differently, it's going to take you down the path that it already knows. All of your history, all of your triggers, all of your patterns, all of the bad feeling emotions, it knows how to do that. So when you're switching it and as you're shifting it, it can feel a little uncomfortable and you can feel a little out of your depth and you can go, gosh, that didn't really work like I thought it was going to do. It takes practice, the commitment to stay with it and say, okay, I am shifting, I am changing, not I have to do this right or I have failed again, right? That's an old unconscious pattern. So let's not get into that. Be gentle with yourself tomorrow, be kind with yourself tomorrow. And as I said yesterday, I'm going to remind you again today, and I will remind you again on Friday. The most important decision you're going to make is what happens on Friday morning. One day of however you eat tomorrow is not going to have a severe impact on your body, okay? It's the fact that that day turns into a month-long frustration with yourself. That's where it becomes problematic. So that's why I remind you of the tool that every step along the way, you can make a different decision. Remind yourself, my next decision is my most important one. What I do next is my most important one. At any time, I can change the way this is going. Even if I've eaten everything today and I didn't like the way that feels, I can choose to not have dessert tonight, or I can choose tomorrow morning to, eat something that's nourishing to my body. The only time that it fails is when you just give up on yourself and give into the what the heck response and say, I've blown it, all right? And last thing is I will be on tomorrow. Again, I don't totally know what time. Thank you for being patient with me as I've hopped on when we're in between things on my vacation. I will be on tomorrow, probably in the morning, if I had to guess, because that's before we go over and do Thanksgiving with my family. So I will see you all tomorrow, just to say how much I am grateful for all of you and wish you well on your Thanksgiving journey. Okay. Oh my gosh. Actually, before we go, Lauren just said, and this is a great reminder, I always use the analogy, if you have a flat tire, you don't puncture the other three. Thank you, Lauren. That is fantastic. And I love that analogy. And I'm going to steal that just so you know. Absolutely. Right. So if you are eating in a way that doesn't feel good, you don't help yourself by then eating whatever you want and making yourself feel worse. If you have a flat tire, you don't puncture the other three, right? You fix the flat tire. So stay with yourself tomorrow, and I promise we'll work on getting through this together. Okay, everyone, so fun to be with you today. I will see you in the morning.